What's up, people? Welcome back to the BCMA podcast. It's your boy Lucky from Lucky's Muay Thai, and we are still in a worldwide pandemic, but the United States said, no, screw that, we opening. So we're open. There's still protesting out there. I hope everybody's wearing a mask, being safe, protecting yourself. As the United States has been opening, so have the cases been spiking. So, be aware. If you're going to the gym and all that, make sure you're washing your gloves out, wiping everything off with bleach and whatnots. And also arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. So, on that note, let's move on. So, the big debate this week has been around cornering, and I have a little bit of an expertise in that, somewhat. So, I decided I'd throw my 2 cents in, and, maybe it's a different opinion than you've heard. A lot of people have been going hard one way or hard the other way. I've heard a lot of opinions, a lot of, valid opinions on both sides about how somebody should be cornered and from all different angles. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about it. Also, this came about because of UFC, on ESPN 11. Max Roshkop fought Austin, Hubbard, and it was even going into the third round. Max goes back to the corner, basically just sits down with his head down and says, call it. Robert Drysdale, who is his coach and fantastic Jiu Jitsu practitioner, he's been in the sport and been around for a long time. I'm a big fan of his. I used to have a DVD of his. So, he kept pushing all the way until the very end, and Max kept saying, I want out, no call it, no call it, no call it. And, so the debate was, obviously the commission called it or whatever, but the ref called it. Anyway, the debate was whether or not you should be putting somebody's, life in jeopardy like that, or if, that's the way you do it, you gotta push the fighter until they get up and say, yo, all right, I'm ready. They pound their chest and they go back out there. But I don't know, man. I think, that it's really depending upon the fighter. I've had a couple of instances where where things have happened, where I've been wanting to stop it, or I had to push a little bit. I had a fighter who was just starting out. He had not had a fight yet. This was his first fight. He fought somebody with a little bit of experience more than him, or maybe a little bit more than that. Anyway, he fought him, and it was headgear, the whole thing, but he was getting mollywopped, and he just would not quit. He came back. Second round, I was like, listen, man, I think I'm probably going to stop it here. No, don't stop it. I'm ready. So like in his case, I let him go back out there, and I kind of let the refs deal with it. They came to the corner. Oh, if I don't see anything, and he finished the fight, and he was glad that he finished it. And it was a tough go, but that was a choice that he really, really wanted. And, he spit blood all over my chest, like all over my shirt. Like it was kind of crazy. But, it was a choice that he made. So I let him, going out there, man. If you think you still got something to show and you're amped up like that, then yeah, man, you got to go. I had another fighter though, and it was her first fight, and she came to me in between rounds and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, no, you're going to get back out there and do this because you can do it. She's tough. So, I'm glad I did that. I was definitely worried about it. She was, sandbagged. So she got somebody in her tournament that was way more experienced than her, and they lied about it. Anyway, she finished the fight, and she was happy she finished because I think she would have regretted it her entire life had she not finished. I had another fighter get an eye poke, came to the corner and was like, I thought he was okay. And he was like, I can't see. I was like, you sure? I can't see. You sure? I can't see. And man, it's over. It is what it is. I think it depends upon the person. It depends upon the fighter. It depends upon the risk. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I always tell people that you never know that you could literally die in there, especially in boxing, right? So if you're boxing, there's a real big opportunity for you to die from head trauma. There's only been about 7 deaths maybe in MMA. But here's the thing that we don't talk about very much. You may not die in there, but almost 100% guaranteed you are going to have a lifelong injury of some sort, more than likely going to have surgeries, maybe several. These are not things that are discussed as much. It's always more talked about, oh, you're going to get CTE or, this kind of stuff. But yeah, MMA is definitely more safe in the respect that they'll stop a fight early. Boxers, they'll send the guy back out there after an 8 count. For sure. You can also spend the entire time grappling if you're capable. You could take people down and hold them down and, win rounds like that. We've seen that just happen. But the truth of the matter is you're going to have some injuries that are going to last you throughout your entire, this goes also back to pay, right? Whether or not fighting is an opportunity, like a springboard of some sort to jump onto something else or not, you should still be getting paid your worth. And if you're going to go out there and potentially get extremely hurt, listen, man, I want to be able to run alongside my little girl while she's riding her bike, right? I want to be able to do her homework with her, right? I want to be able to do those things. There's quality of life. There's a real thing. So as a corner, do you have to take that into account? Like, MMA is such a tough sport. You got to be the toughest. It's a tough sport. It's hard. You got to push hard. Yes, you definitely have to do all of that. The question is, where is the ending there? Like, to what is the cost? See, the thing about MMA that's different from boxing is you could actually have some losses on your record, even a decent amount of losses, and you still can make it to a title. You can still become a legend. Like, it's not like boxing where you have a couple of losses and all of a sudden you're back at the bottom and you'll never, it's not like that. MMA is different. MMA, you can have 12 losses, F around and have 10 wins and then be a champion. It's a different scenario. So, I don't know, if a fighter comes to me and they have their head down, they never look me in the eye, I might have to just look at that for what it is and not send them back out there. It's a willingness game, right? I wrote about willingness in a blog a while ago and about people, what it takes to get in these exchanges and to actually get in there and put on a good show and all that. And it's a willingness. You have to be willing to jump into the fire. If you're not willing to be in there, you're more than likely going to get hurt, or you're just going to put on a bad show. We've seen fighters get in there and for whatever the reason, maybe they're up against somebody hits just as hard or whatever the case may be. And they nullify each other. They circle around the entire time. The fight never really takes place. Nothing really, really happens. But it's willingness. And that's like almost number one, right? Your heart, your soul to be in there, your want to be in there. If you're guaranteed to have an injury, like, why put somebody at risk if they're not really, really willing? They got to give you some inkling of like, I'm ready, or they're looking at you and they're listening to you, something. There's a ton too much risk in order to send people back out there that aren't willing to go out there. Just for injury's sake. If you haven't, Google Rob Kaman's feet from all them low kicks. Everybody loves Rob Kaman, for real, man. He's a fucking low kick chopping king mother. You know what I'm saying? So, but Google his feet, man. I think it was a few years ago. There was like a GoFundMe for his feet. They were all jacked up from all them low kicks that y'all love watching. Straight up. Mark Coleman had back problems. I think he had a GoFundMe. These are fucking legends in the sport. Consider it. Amateurs, pros, whatever. Even if you're just coaches and you're just starting the corner and all that, consider what you're talking about. Amateurs, you got protection on and all that, but I've heard of some cases, man, where amateurs, die. That headgear, sometimes, people take a few too many. Tito Ortiz, man, he had pictures of his neck cut open from the neck surgeries. I mean, he looks in great shape, don't get it wrong, but, man, why risk it? If you're looking at me or not looking at me, man, I'm not doing it. I've had fighters quit. So I had a fighter recently last year before last, I don't know. Just basically be like, I don't have it tonight. All right. I will lend some effort towards wondering if I coached well enough during the camp, wondering if I did the things that were necessary to motivate him mentally to be in there and be prepared for the situation and be a part of like, this firefight that's going to happen inside the ring or inside the cage or whatever it may be. But you can always tell when somebody's willing to be there and take that kind of punishment, right? So, Uriah Faber, a few years back, man, I've been doing this for so long. Listen, I don't remember even who he was fighting, but he broke both of his hands and he fought the rest of his fight only throwing elbows. I mean, that's what's up. That's willingness, right? You know that dude wanted to be there because he was willing to do that, man. He was willing to fight with just his elbows. Could you do it? Just your elbows? For rounds, or would you quit? Tim Sylvia had his arm snapped in two by Frank Mir. This dude's arm snapped in two. He wanted to keep going. It's his will. He was will, man. He was willing. I want to be there. I mean, ultimately, it really is up to you. You got to know your fighter. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know, everything that's happening, where he is emotionally, where she is emotionally. Are they winning? Are they losing? Are they taking damage unnecessarily? Straight up, it is really, really, really up to the coaches and corner for their safety. But also the fighters, sometimes they're too tough for their own good. So you got to be extra aware of when they're taking damage, they're not throwing back, the ref's not paying attention, the commission's turning their head, not paying attention. I mean, at least in the pros, that's the cornerman's, job really to pay attention and make sure their fighter's being safe, because it's only a bunch of years and then you got to do something else. You got to open something. You got to invest in something. You got to do something. So you're going to have some of that body left over for that. Make sure you are in good hands when you're being cornered in your fighting, amateur, pro, whatever. And I thought Robert Drysdale was doing his best to try to motivate his fighter, but clearly from outside looking in, everybody thought, or the majority of people, a lot of people, maybe not the majority, but a lot of people thought, damn, man, that's a lot. He said, he kept saying he didn't want in. Why didn't you stop it? I mean, but that's also his priority as a coach. He wanted to try to get his fighter to get up and get out there. Sometimes it happens, man. I've seen it. Dudes stand up, pound their chest, run out there and, win or not, they're happy they did it. So that's my opinion on that. I don't know, how you feel. If you want to leave a comment, do so. Let me know what's up. Remember, guys, if you're in the area of North Miami, or if you're in Miami and you want to stop by and check out the gym, or if you're a visitor coming in for vacation and you want to get some training in, drop us a line at luckysmtmiami@gmail.com, or you can follow us at Instagram at Lucky's Muay Thai and drop me a line there. And just keep checking out the videos on YouTube, and we will keep popping them off. The gym's been great, so we have had pretty decently full classes. I mean, we're doing it very slowly because we want to make sure everybody's being safe. We're taking our time. We're doing 6-person classes. We have been for the last 3 weeks or so, whatever it's been. And, we are adding, 2 more people per class. I think because we've had a great response and we've had a lot of people contacting us about, joining the gym and coming by, we're probably going to add more hours next month. And then, on and on, I guess. I mean, look, we're trying to keep it super smooth. So like I said, if you want to swing by the gym, we'd love to have you stop by. Just give us a shout first so we can set it up with you, and make sure you get in there safe and enjoy your time with us. We have some people getting ready for fight camps and all this stuff. Like, it's starting to move again. So I hope everybody's, being safe, taking care of their health. Make sure you get your cardio in, try to run a couple miles, do your business. That being said, let's talk about something pretty interesting. It's so interesting to me, at least, that in a jiu-jitsu gym, shout out to all the jiu-jitsu gyms everywhere, like everything. I love, I love my peoples. I've seen coaches like put on their schedules, Muay Thai, right? And when I've seen the video of the Muay Thai, well, I mean, obviously it wasn't Muay Thai. Now, what it was some sort of like, not even call it watered down, just, it wasn't the real. It was like a couple of different moves, and it was something they could add to their schedule, right? It's a game of making sure you have enough to offer the people and your clients and build a clientele. Not necessarily an MMA class, but me at a striking class, right? They'll call it Muay Thai, they'll call it kickboxing, whatever it may be. But the problems I see is like, at least if you're coaching that and you're calling it that, usually you try to start people off from the real basics and work them up, unless they've had some sort of training and you can kind of mold that training into something. But generally you start from zero. Like if I went to a jiu-jitsu gym to train, they would start me at a white belt unless I was already, another belt. And then even then they might have questions about where my belt came from. But they would start me at white belt. I would have to learn all the basics, shrimping, all these different things, right? But then if I myself decided to say at my Muay Thai gym, hey man, I'm having, jiu-jitsu training at whatever time of week, because I just want to add that onto my schedule as a, another offering to my people. I have had plenty of jiu-jitsu training, but one of the things I've been solid on always is like, I don't really want to try to show people things. I don't feel like I have enough knowledge about anything to show anybody anything. So I always feel like that. And I couldn't imagine, see, it's interesting because I feel like if I did that, I feel like jiu-jitsu coaches and they would lose their minds about it. Not necessarily lose their minds, but they would definitely not think it was a legit place, like a legit thing, But in Muay Thai or in kickboxing, that kind of stuff, we don't have like a big system of like, yo, you're not doing it right. That's not real. But people do it. They accept it. They just kind of do, oh, it's a strike. It's a Muay Thai class 2 days a week. All right. I'm taking jiu-jitsu. I might as well do a couple of the Muay Thai classes, but not really learning like how to strike, like how to really do it. So, I just find that interesting. I feel like I couldn't show up to IBJJF with like, I do have a Muay Thai logo and stuff and prepared for the future, just so y'all know. But I couldn't show up now with like Lucky's Muay Thai jiu-jitsu team. My team's just gonna, we're ready to roll without being some sort of like accredited by them or whatever the case may be. I don't think you can really do that. But you could for sure have a jiu-jitsu gym, teach Muay Thai 2 days a week, and then show up at a amateur Muay Thai fight and get your fighter booked. No matter what gym you came from. So, just an interesting comparison of those two, or those things. Anyway, it was just a thought. I was just thinking about it because I feel like, man, that's we talked about maybe wanting to add jiu-jitsu to the gym. And some of that is me not wanting to. I mean, it's not that I don't want to, but jiu-jitsu for me is like a place where I go it's where I'm like the student. It's kind of my escape. So I'm like currently looking for a place that I can go to that, fits into my schedule and all that kind of stuff. But considering it, man, it's kind of crazy that, we haven't added it yet, but it's something that, I wonder about. Do you feel like Muay Thai gyms, because, like Tiger Muay Thai is a big complex now, right? They have, wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And so are they an MMA gym now, or are they a Muay Thai gym? I mean, clearly, they do a little bit of everything now. So I don't know, does that take away? There are a ton of MMA gyms here in Miami. We are one of the few Muay Thai gyms. So what does that do? Does that take away from, us as a Muay Thai gym if we add jiu-jitsu? Or does it, add to us as a martial arts facility? I mean, I don't know. I wonder what you guys think. Does it feel authentic to you if you go to a Muay Thai gym and then they also add jiu-jitsu? Or is it just that jiu-jitsu is such a big part of our lives now that it's just going to be a part of Muay Thai gyms and kickboxing gyms. But here's the thing. I think we all need to really try to make sure that we blow up this kickboxing Muay Thai scene. I don't know how we can do it other than what we've been doing, watching fights and trying to promote the people that we like. But if we're going to involve Jiu Jitsu in our gyms and that kind of stuff, to just sort of we got to get on some kind of roll here as far as having the fights and people's names getting blown up and pushing the sport a little bit more forward. So let me know what your thoughts about are having Jiu Jitsu at your Muay Thai gym, that maybe you just love the authenticity of there's no Jiu Jitsu here. It's just Muay Thai. Because I know some Jiu Jitsu places are like, yo, we just Jiu Jitsu. We don't do nothing else. And they're good with that. But Muay Thai is weird because we don't have a ton of, we're niche, but everybody's on that MMA scene. They're trying to get into that. They want to get a class into that. So it's a little bit different. But listen, I love this. This has been fantastic. I can't wait to find a place to do jiu-jitsu at, man. I am, fiending. I need to get on a mat. Not trying to get, murderized, but I'm definitely looking forward to training some jiu-jitsu soon. If you like the podcast / showcast, whatever we're calling it now, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can hear when I'm yapping some more. Maybe I'll put out something else. This has been a great time. I hope you enjoyed. If you have some different points of view, that's dope. Hit me up. You can also reach us for the gym at www.luckysmt.com. Drop us a mail, luckysmtmiami@gmail.com. Hit us up on Instagram. Follow us anyway. You know what I'm saying? At Lucky's Muay Thai. I always put up some cool stuff. So looking forward to seeing y'all next week. This has been the BCMA podcast, episode number 7. Dig in. Arrest the cops to kill Breonna Taylor. Black Lives Matter. Peace. Don't wanna complicate ya.